Well, Razorback fans, there's a legit question being asked about the next head coach. Is Arkansas actually going to land a big name, or are they going to get played by agents? Well, let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday as you're at the midway point of the week. And we're going to get into some of the things that's going on when it comes to what to believe and what not to believe when it comes to the coaching search. And how do you know? How do you know who to trust and who not to trust and all of that? We'll also get into the expectations of Razorback basketball and why having expectations is a good thing. And it's not a negative thing. Some people like to say it. But we'll dive into that there as well. But I wanted to begin today's podcast with discussing a little bit more about the coaching search and what goes on with it for Arkansas right now. Because let's be honest, it's a chaotic time. And right now, there are a lot more jobs that are opening up than maybe was originally anticipated. Not to say that Arkansas has no shot at any big name coach, or that the more that they open up, the more complicated it becomes. But I think that there is some sort of concern from some Razorback fans that is this just going to end up in another coach getting another raise? Or is this going to end up in another coach getting some sort of, negotiating tactic where they have two schools they're looking at and they keep going back and forth and they tell you one thing, but they go with the other. Because, the Jimmy Sexton season, as they call it, all of these things going on, legitimate questions, legitimate things to be brought up. But I caution Razorback fans to not go all in on that particular thing. Don't just assume, well, it's all going to go horribly, horribly wrong for us because, well, we just are going to get played, or some other coach is going to get big numbers, or if we're fighting for for a coach that's with another school, we're going to lose out on it. Like, we're not in the negotiation rooms. We're not dealing with the agents. I think that's one of the more chaotic things as to why coaching searches are great for content. It's great for discussion. It's great for, being people really paying attention and getting all involved, but also frustrating because we never hear what truly happened behind scenes of hiring coaches. Because let's be honest, when that press conference happens, when that coach is finally hired, the athletic director is going to get up and say, this was our man from the beginning. Even though it's a complete and total lie, they're going to say that. The coach that walks up there gets introduced. This was the only job I would have left my current spot for, which is a lie. No, you wouldn't have. So because of that fact, that's all it's going to be. And let's also be very clear. Agents and the agents that are involved in this, they are going to never divulge any of the details and any of the tactics and any of the behind the scenes stuff. Just never going to happen that way. So because of that fact, and given the, up and down reporting, and especially, which we'll talk about the reporting, but the up and down reporting and the, who's throwing stuff out there because it's legitimate, who's throwing out there stuff for content purposes and whatnot, it becomes a very frustrating thing. And if you start to hear about a coach that is getting linked with your job, and that coach you get excited about, ooh, imagine if we had him. But then that coach, you find out that, well, he's at his current school and he got a raise. You immediately jump to we got played. My school got played. We weren't serious. We didn't give them what they wanted, or all they wanted was a raise. We got them a raise because that's all we do. And honestly, I blame Gus Malzahn for the majority of that because Gus Malzahn was the worst at it. Or I should say Jimmy Sexton, where anytime that he was flirted around with the Arkansas job, he always got a raise out of it. And there's been other instances when it's happened. And so, again, as a Razorback fan, you're wondering, well, why would they said no to us because they just played us. But on the other side of it, you don't know if he got played. You don't know if that coach was even in the mix, legitimately in the mix. Sometimes it's just the agents that floated out there that, hey, this coach is interested in this job, and it starts getting reported. And the school that they're currently at be like, oh gosh, we got to do something about this, Johnson. Like, let's get him a new contract extension. Keep him here. And then he gets a contract extension and they win. And then Arkansas or whatever school was like, we weren't even interested in this guy. So kudos to you. Like, it could be a lot of different things and go a lot of different directions. So that's why it's chaotic and why there's never any transparency in any of this. And when there's not transparency in it, there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of frustrations. There's a lot of angst, especially knowing how important it is to make sure you hire the right head coach. So how does Arkansas avoid that this time? How does Arkansas avoid being the place that gives other coaches more money or gets played by the agents? Anything like that. To me, it's a simple tactic. And some of you are not going to like this. Some of you are probably going to disagree. But here's the tactic. At a place like Arkansas, it's also different at other places. At a place like Arkansas, you know how you avoid that? You know how you avoid getting played by an agent or by a coach? You give them an offer that they cannot refuse from the jump. You don't, if it's the guy you want, that's also needs something to be clarified. If it's the guy you want, you look at yourselves and you look at the market and you say, okay, well, what's the current market for a coach like this, for instance? Okay, he's $8 million a year. We're going to give him 10. We're going to give him 10. Wait, that the school he's at right now, he's only making 7.5. Yeah, we're going to give him 10. And that's the minimum. Maybe even go up to 12. John, that's crazy. If the coach is only valued at $8 million, you give him $4 million right off the jump. It's not good negotiation. For a place like Arkansas, it is. For a place like Arkansas, it is. Because the second that you legitimately offer that up, legitimately, this is the impact. This is the domino effect that it has. I guess it could be one of two things. It could be the coach is like, heck yeah, I'm there. See you there. Which more than likely doesn't happen all the time, but could happen. There's that. But the other thing that could happen is say if they say no. Say if they say no. And the agent's like, man, hey, coach, this is a lot of money. They got you set up. You sure about this? Coach says, no, I'm happy where I'm at and it's all fine. That sucks, right? Hey, well, he says no to you. But guess what that agent does? That agent comes back to you and says, hey, this coach says no, but I know of a coach that would say yes to that amount. And he's a big time coach. A guy you probably weren't even interested in. A guy that I wouldn't even thought about thinking that he was interested in you. But now that you told me that number, I bet you he's real interested. And suddenly that agent goes to that coach, says, hey, coach, Arkansas over here offered $10 million to another coach. I can bet you I can get him to offer it to you. And you should take it. Now then again, you do that. Who's to say the coach doesn't go, well, I'm fine where I'm at. Sure, that's fine. And again, you can start moving down the list. And it gets frustrating, right? Like that's how you view it and that's how it happens. But the problem is that it's always going to be a part of it. This is just part of it. It sucks, but it's part of it. You have to be able to go in guns blazing right now because you don't have the goodwill and benefit as a program that has proven that, hey, we can go and get somebody else for less money and we can win at a high level. You have not, you have screwed the pooch in that one. Your athletic director made it very clear that That is not the case for the previous coach. You have to gain your reputation back as a big dog. You have to get your reputation back as a legitimate contender for paying and supporting high-level coaches. And the only way you can do it, and I know that it sucks to say this, but the only way you're going to do it is overpay. That's the only way you're going to be able to get that reputation back. You're going to have to overpay. You're going to have to overcompensate. And to me, it's a worthwhile investment as long as that coach that you want is going to come with success, number one, and come with this financial support from fans that'll get them excited, that get them all in, and it's all going to come together. But you're going to have to go in guns blazing. Now, it's my understanding that that's what Arkansas is doing, essentially. What they're doing is making it very clear that they want to be able to hire somebody big. Is it James Franklin? Is it, is it going to be a second choice, third choice, whatever it is? We'll see. We'll see. But you have to be able to show the world, show the college football world that you're serious. I keep saying that. As the great Nolan Richardson once said, perception is the key to everything. And the perception that you have as a football program is the lowest of lows. Hard to get much lower than what Arkansas has right now. So unfortunate, but so true. That's how you do it. You got to have real negotiators at the table, people who negotiate all the time. And you got to be able to look at which coach you want the most and go get them. Don't take no for an answer. Keep it moving. You have to get this right. It's easy to say because it's not my money, I know. But you're going to make a lot more money if you're willing to spend the money that it takes in order to have success. Simple as that. But how do you know who to believe? How do you know what to believe when it comes to speculation and all this stuff out there? Well, let's talk about it coming up next here on Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda brings the same intention on how they craft every single model. You can make everyday prices and drives feel like anything but. From smooth sailing and handling to intuitive controls, with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. So, this is the time where, like, after my podcast on Monday, talking about James Franklin, talking about what I hear, if you want to call it reports or whatever, I see that there are other people that are kind of starting to run with it. That's not me saying that though they stole it or anything. That's not my thing. It's just starting to kind of get out there a little bit. But the thing is like, legitimately, I had some people message me after that podcast on Monday, be like, why should we believe you? I'm like, you shouldn't. It's up to you. I'm not going to sit here like, what could I do to change your mind? I don't care, But I also understand the sentiment that fans have, because it's like, okay, well, who can we believe in this? How do we know certain people aren't just content farming or whatever they say? I got accused of that. John, you just put out that podcast and sell that stuff. You don't know anything because of, you're just trying to get clicks and listens. I mean, yeah, listens and watches and all of that does help me. But my point is when you do things like that, and if you do them all the time and you end up being wrong, people usually catch on. I think that that's the most obvious way of doing it. And then it keeps going back to the point that like I've talked about where so many local media have never really broke stories. Like you never really get besides the Westmore deal with Cal, you never get to really hear much about the local media being in the know on things. Now, that's not me insulting the local media. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that with a place like Arkansas and with the powers that be that are elsewhere in the national college football landscape, odds are that they're going to be the ones that find out first. Not because Arkansas or anybody involved in Arkansas told them, but because of the other school or the other coach or the other agent that's involved ended up giving them the information. So what do you believe? Because you're starving for it, right? Like you want it so bad. We all do. Like you want information. You want to know, all right, John, who's it going to be? All right, John, who are you hearing? All right, John. And I appreciate it. In fact, I've had people nonstop come up to me and just ask that question. And I try to tell them the same thing that I say everywhere and like on this podcast and in person is that, listen, nobody knows anything. Nobody knows anything. We could be told something, we could be given some information, but that information, even from someone that we may trust, could have been given to them because they know and they're able to weed out who's the people that they can trust or not based on who says it. Like there's these games that get played. But my advice would be to each and every one of you that crave this information nonstop, like what's what you want. My advice to you is to, it's going to be tough. Be patient, one. And two, put it all together for yourself. Think logically. Think rationally. Because I try to do that in this way. Somebody tells me that John Gruden's on campus right now. I'm like, no. Or someone tells me that, hey, James Franklin was on visiting campus. No. Because that's not how these things work. It's not out in the public. It's in the shadows. That's where business is done. It's in the shadows. You know, it's not in the 70s where you didn't have cell phones and you didn't have email and you didn't have ways of communication that way too. Private jets to fly wherever that needs to be. Plane tracking is not something that actually works. Like all these things together. Just be rational and think about it logically. Think about what could be realistic. Think about what is realistic. Look at other coaching searches and what they go through and what those things are like. Don't sit back and say, hey, any piece of information I'm taking to the bank and it's true. Also, don't take as someone saying, hey, I hear that this is who they're targeting as, well, that means that they have offered him the job. And if he doesn't end up being the coach, then someone screwed up. There's so many moving pieces to this, and there's so much nuance to it. Just take everything together and draw your own logical conclusions. And don't be mad about it. Don't be mad about it. But I will say, just for myself, it's all I can speak for myself. It's like I did in my Monday podcast, talking about Franklin, talking about the amount of money that Arkansas is willing to spend, talking about them wanting to send a message, all those things. I don't know if it's called reporting, but what I call it is just me hearing things, putting it together, and offering my opinion on it. But I promise you this, folks, I really do. If I ever hear anything with full confidence, I'm going to tell you. But I'm also not going to tell you unless I have it with full confidence. I let the big J journalists do that. I'm just a podcaster. Just a podcaster that even the University of Arkansas doesn't respect as media. But that's okay. I think a BS artist would be a more likely thing. But either way, just wanted to try to help out. Probably won't help, but I wanted to try. Expectations are good things, folks, and I'm going to tell you why. So stay with us here on Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, Peloton is shaping the future with fitness with a brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is the training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs and with tools that can help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching and actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. The swivel screen is a game changer as well. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized class recommendations have you engaged. And it has your workouts tailored to you, to tailor to your vibe and to your energy level each and every week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. Okay, final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I was talking Razorback basketball yesterday, and I was really excited about it. After two dominating showings in the exhibition games, now it comes to real life, real season. Next Monday, it's going to be the first official game against Southern in Bud Walton Arena. And I really hope that the crowd and everything's there. But, as far as the expectation goes, which I want to work into my thoughts on crowds and atmospheres and everything. Expectations are fine, folks. Like, there's some of you that saw those two games, or even there's in the early part of the second game, you're just like, knew it, classic, course, blah, PTSD is what you have, and I get it. But it's okay to have expectations for, say, this Razorback basketball team. It's okay to say, hey, I expect this team to be a team that competes for the SEC title, because they are good enough for it. Now, it's not to say if they don't make it, it's a complete failure, but they're good enough to compete for it. And I think there's nothing wrong with being upset if this team has a less than 500 record in SEC play. I don't think there's anything wrong with being upset if this team does not win some of these big games in the non-conference. I don't think it's terrible for that. So it's okay to have those expectations. The biggest expectation, of course, comes in the spring and in March, in the March Madness and the NCAA tournament. That's really where it comes into play. But my point to all of you is, you have to be the one that looks at this and understands the flow of things, understands the way things go, and everything. So just be okay with expectations, especially high expectations. Which brings me to something I wanted to bring up kind of here in the back part. I'm really hoping that Bud Walton Arena has some magic this year. I'm really hoping that the fans show up. And you know what? I was very critical of this all the time last year. And there were times where I'd be a little bit upset with fans about it. But I still go back to my biggest issue being with the U of A and the lack of game day fun. Lack of game fun. Everyone's like, well, the game on the court should be the only thing that's fun. And if that's fun, and that's okay, true. But you know what? There's a lot of people that bring families to this where their kids may not be 100% into basketball just yet. I remember as a kid going to Bud Walton Arena, and I thought the funniest thing and the coolest thing, I didn't know what was going on in the game, but I just liked the little ducks that would walk across the screen with the word foul on it, before when he just had lights. Thought that was awesome. I thought it was cool with the laser show during the starting lineup and how cool that was. Those are things I thought was cool. But when you're regurgitating the same crap over and over and over again, these corporate sponsorships, which I get, hey, you got to pay the bills. But the classic of, hey, which song do you want to hear? We got to stop that. We have to stop it. And if the atmosphere is a bummer, if the fans aren't showing up as much, at some point in time, it's like, hey, okay, maybe look in the mirror as like the fans, be like, okay, this is now the second year in a row we can't get the fans to show up in as much as we want. So maybe it's a us problem. Maybe it's a we problem, which we know it is. If you can't get them to go there, find out why they're not going and fix it. I know you have to do this crazy thing called communicate with your fan base. But if you're not getting the people there in the seats that you're wanting to, or that you feel like is needed or is expected, then find out why and fix it. Too expensive, okay? Find a way to have some ticket deals. Concessions are too high, all right? Find a way to do something about that. We don't enjoy all the loud music. Okay, well, You're not going to please everybody, but find out the collective group, find out what the big thing is and fix it. And once you fix it, it's going to be okay. But the past couple of years has been the whole not fixing it, not caring enough to fix it, not caring enough to communicate, and just shoving everything down your throat. Like no one knows what to do anymore at a game. Do they cheer? When do they don't cheer? When they call the Hogs, when they don't. It's just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. My services are available for anybody that wants them because I guarantee you I could fix half of the problems that they go through if they just listen to me. It's not me being an arrogant jerk. I'm just being honest because I'm that confident in what I could make that place be. I lived it for 7.5 years at least. I remember, and it was during the Pelfrey and Mike Anderson days. Would have loved to have had Sean Calipari. All it takes is just a few little things here and there, and it's golden. Appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter, John Nabors Show. For any questions, comments, concerns you may have, we'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you then.